Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central, and here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Welcome to another great episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host. Bet you didn't know that. Now you do. Welcome to another opportunity to spend a little time with me and my guests as we learn more about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. I am joined today by the Mata brothers. Not quite the brothers.
Not quite the brothers.
Bill Mata, who is the current president of the Foxborough Lions Club.
That's right.
And his father, Bob Mata, who is the immediate past president of the Foxborough Lions Club. Bill and Bob, welcome to Foxborough Central. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to join us this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening, whenever people are watching us.
Right.
So, Foxborough Lions, great organization, been around Foxborough for how long?
82, 83 years.
That's long enough to be well established. Yeah. And the reason that we're here today is just to learn a little bit about you, the organization, and how maybe some people who are thinking of getting involved could get involved.
Sure. Okay.
Great. Well, let's talk about Foxborough Lions. Who are they and how did they come to be in Foxborough 83 years ago?
Oh, wow. Well, the Foxborough Lions are just one of the several thousand clubs, Lions clubs in the world. Mm-hmm. It started out in, I believe, 1913. There's a fellow from Chicago. His name was Melvin Jones. He had an organization called some sort of business club in Chicago, and he felt that other organizations should get involved and combine some of their expertises and work together as a community.
Okay.
And from there it expanded. It became international a few years later when we had someone from Canada join.
Right.
And now it's all over the world. I think the numbers are 45,000 clubs. And there's almost 1.5 million members.
Wow. That's pretty impressive in this day and age, of course, with many competing things, specialty clubs. There's now, Rat Owners Association, I'm sure, but also the internet and many things keeping our lives busy. You find that civic involvement and club membership has been on decline, so it's great to see that there's a strong international following. How about the local chapter?
Well, we started in 1931. Wilford Booth was the first president of the Foxborough Lions.
Okay.
He's a name in town that playgrounds and other areas, and schools, and I guess there was a school.
And Congdon, Dana Congdon's father, he was a charter member. Congdon family still in town also.
I think they started with like 24 members. Mm-hmm. They met at a tavern in Walpole.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that was our first meeting place. Was the.
Well, continuing the theme, I believe that you now meet on correct me if I'm wrong, the first and third Tuesdays of every month up at the Lafayette House, which is Ron Young, and it's a great restaurant. We won't call it a tavern, but it is.
Yeah. We meet in the tavern and then go to the dining room.
There you go.
There you go. So nothing's changed.
So with the meetings, it's an opportunity to come in there, a little friendship, a little fellowship, and then you move on and you have the actual agenda. Right. So we're talking about a club that's well established and you do things, community involvement. Right. Want to touch on some of the community things that you do?
Sure. Well, we currently every week we have a couple volunteers. On Wednesdays, we drive down to Taunton, and we pick up about a pickup truck full of food and bring it back to the Foxborough food pantry.
Oh, okay.
So that's an ongoing weekly. We were asked to if we had some volunteers by the food pantry about 3 years ago, and we've been doing it ever since.
Well, that's a very needed project then.
Yeah,
Good.
and then we also we have 4 bottle and can drives every year. Usually the first one is in October, and then in November or December, and then we'll have 2 more in the spring. And those fundraisers help out the Boy Scouts in town, some of the athletic teams at the high school, some of the smaller teams that have smaller booster clubs. You
Right.
know, the tennis team,
That's interesting.
the swim team.
Okay.
We've helped out the cheerleaders as well. So we have 4 of those a year. Our larger one is we have a annual charity golf tournament, which is our largest fundraiser.
Okay. And that's
been
down at the Foxborough Country Club?
Foxborough Country Club. Typically in
Who won this
in
past
June.
year?
I'm
I'm putting you on the spot. See, as the current president, you have to know these
I can
things.
tell you who didn't win.
Well, I can tell you.
But we have all kinds of local sponsors, T signs and whatnot.
Well, that's a well-publicized event, and it's been going on for a while now.
Right.
I know about
I
it. And
think it was our 21st annual
sure,
this year.
that makes sense.
Yeah. We have we help out a local parking lot up at the Gillette.
Okay.
Assist in parking some cars and whatnot. So we raise some funds.
Do your piece up there.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the great things about Foxborough is that there is a lot of community involvement. There's also a lot of business partnership, and you're talking about Gillette Stadium and also the Foxborough Department of Human Services with the food pantry and
Right.
and the work that they do there. So it's nice to see that involvement.
Right. One of the bottle and can drives is strictly for the
Discretionary?
discretionary fund. Thank
Sure.
you. So we help them
Which
out.
is an
One-
institution unique to Foxborough.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So.
That's who we work with, the food bank too, is the discretionary
Sure.
fund, yeah. And we actually store the food at the Foxborough Company. They have a building
Foxborough
up
Company
there.
has long
Yeah.
been a supporter of that. And
Right.
is the food pantry still out of there?
Yes, still there,
Yes.
yeah.
Off in the Ponset Avenue. So with all these good works and the money that you raise, is the membership strong? Do you need more members? What are you looking at?
We have a pretty strong membership.
Got a
We
good
have
core?
about 55 members, 50 to 55 members. It's been that number for years. We lose members, we get
gain a few.
members.
That's good.
But we have
Well,
a
stability
good, yeah.
and new blood is always
Yeah.
a keystone of
Yeah.
any thriving organization. So congratulations, that's very
Yeah,
important.
we do pretty well. We always look for new members.
Mm-hmm.
We have an ad in the Sun Chronicle.
So people may have seen your
Yeah.
advertisement in Sun
They may
Chronicle.
have, yeah.
And in that advertisement, if they wanted to get in touch with the Foxborough Lions Club, learn more about them, or figure out how to get to one of the meetings, they would call you, the past president, up at 508-543-4092.
9-2. Right.
All the 40.
Yeah.
I've got an old 40 number too, so I get a kick when I meet people with the 40 numbers. So. Anyway, that's just me.
Yeah.
So at the Lions Club meetings, do I have to bring a ton of money? What do I have to bring? If I'm coming for the first time to a Lions Club meeting, I walk in the door.
You would be our guest. You don't need
be
any
your
money.
guest. Very good.
Right.
And a typical meeting, again, we meet at 6:30. Meeting starts at 7 in the dining room. We'll go over an agenda, upcoming events or whatnot. I won't say most meetings, but many meetings we'll have a guest speaker. They could vary from. We've had some people up from Patriot Place come and speak. We've had some.
We've had dogs at our meetings.
Doctors and-
Oh yeah.
And we have one of the one of the groups that we sponsor is the Fidelco Dog for the blind.
Really?
We've had dogs there.
Is
They
that
didn't-
a local sponsorship or is that
That's
a national,
statewide.
statewide thing?
Yeah,
Wow.
Fidelco.
So there's a state organization within the nation, and then you're part of the state chapter, or how's that?
There
work?
is, in Massachusetts, there's 5 districts. And it's Yanks, Y-A-N-K-S. We're in K. We're in 33K.
Oh, okay.
33 means that we are the 33rd state to have a club in the United States.
Okay.
So we're in District 33K, and there's about 45 towns local in this area. As far away as Boston, Malden, and we go to Blackstone Valley, and we have,
Okay, that's an impressive stretch.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
I didn't mean to get off the topic of
it's okay.
because the dog organization sounds pretty interesting.
Well,
We do so much for the blind. Helen Keller was,
yeah.
she challenged the Lions years ago to support the blind, and that's what we do. Most of our
With the
charities,
Vision Mobile.
yeah, yeah, most of our charities outside of Foxborough, most of the charities are related to blind,
Okay.
hearing impaired as well.
It's actually the iMobile, I'm sorry.
Yeah, iMobile. Well, iMobile, we have that every Founders Day
Yeah,
parade.
and that's where many of us
Yeah.
see, that,
That
because
big-
that certainly is a
yeah.
huge presence
Right.
as it comes down the road.
And then we go down to the playground afterwards, and we have eye exams and hearing tests and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly. I mean, a lot of people they ask, well, what do the Lions do? Well, like we said, it's their number one charity is to help out the blind or visually impaired. And in 1925, well, the Lions started in 1917 in Chicago, and Helen Keller in 1925 was a guest speaker, and she challenged the Lions to be the Knights of the Blind.
Okay.
And that's how the Lions
adopted that as
their main fundraising organization.
I did not know that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
I've always wondered how the Lions became associated. So
that's
It was
exactly
actually through Helen Keller, who was
Right.
not only blind but deaf as well.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
very impressive.
So-
So from those beginnings, you're now here with the iMobile.
right. And Foxborough has just taken it to a local level where we help out all the other people that can use some assistance and whatnot.
That's very nice to see
Yeah.
that there's that level of support for the lesser populated sports. I
Right,
think that's the way you put it. That need a little more booster.
Right.
So that's great. And then, of course, those of us who live in Foxborough were all well familiar with the great work you did as far as maintaining or installing and maintaining the 2 message boards at either end of the common here in town.
Right, and we're in the process of upgrading those. We're raising money now for it. I think the project is going to cost us $4,000 to $5,000, which we're going to pay for because they need to be upgraded. And that's
Well, I
in the
remember when they were
process.
built, that was an impressive project
yeah.
in the day. So they need, and that was, gosh, must have been 15 years ago now.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Am I right on that?
yeah, a little bit more.
Look at that.
15, 16 years, yeah.
And so now it's time to upgrade the signs.
Right.
So what are the plans?
Well, the main plan is just the lettering will be changed in the doors. Right now they're just fiberglass, and they just have to be supported with a piece of wood or whatnot. So now there's going to be some pistons to
Okay.
hold them up, and
Hopefully nobody gets their head banged when they.
Yeah,
And that's got to be tough in the winter too, as
Yeah.
they traipse through the snow to get those message boards
Yeah.
changed.
one of our members, Bob Russell, he's chairing that, and he's done an extensive work on it to make sure it's going to work right for the town.
Be what the
and-
town's looking for,
Yeah,
make
right.
it
Yeah.
usable.
Right.
Sure.
So, but
And of course, with the common being, sacred ground as far as what development is, that's a significant pice of what's on the
Right.
common.
Right.
So you
Right.
do have a
Right.
added layer of
Yeah.
visibility and responsibility. So to be good stewards of the common. So
you come into town on both ends, those are the first thing you see are those signs.
Yeah.
So
well,
just
they
a-
are
just a
impressive,
little-
and they I think it was a huge upgrade over the old way of tacking a piece of plywood underneath, hanging it down, and
Right.
car wash.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, as a frequent user of the sign myself in my days with the
Oh, it's
JCs
good.
and whatnot,
Yeah.
I always appreciated being able to just go up to town hall and fill out a little
Yeah.
application and have it all set.
Right.
So it was very nice.
Yeah.
It's a good service. So with that comes fundraising, and with that comes membership, and so there's opportunities to join and be involved. So is there a secret double handshake? When people come, do they have to give a blood oath?
No.
It's fairly painless, I would imagine.
No, we don't have any raw.
You're
we don't-
welcoming. You don't make people wear a water buffalo hat.
No, we don't. We do require people
Kids these days have no idea what a water buffalo is. Sorry about that, everybody.
The only thing we do at a meeting is every person is expected to shake hands with everybody. And if we have somebody known as the mystery greeter at every meeting, it's a member, unidentified to everybody except for himself. He's appointed by one of the board members, and if you don't shake his hand, you'll be fined $1. But it isn't the dollar, it's the idea to say hello to everybody.
Understood.
Right.
Well, you know what? If I do come to a Lions Club meeting, and I understand that there might be a guest speaking opportunity at some point in the future,
Right.
Or in the past, I will make sure I say hi to you because I would want to be the first guest who got
Right.
penalized as well. But I think that's a great way of breaking the ice and making sure that everybody says hi. So that's very good.
It's very casual, you know.
Yeah.
We do, we're required to wear a sports coat and, you know, gentleman-like, whatnot.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very casual.
So
you know,
typical membership at a meeting is, I know you have your membership totals, but how many people typically show at a meeting?
20 to 25.
That's pretty healthy. That's a good number.
We have 55 members we have about 35 regular members that come to most of the meetings, but a lot of times there's other conditions that people can't make it, but we are a pretty good group. We're very social, we're actually very friendly. I mean, friendly because we're friends with each other. We've known each other for so many years, but at the same time, we do serve the community as best we can.
Well, that is great because you know, part of being a nonprofit organization is making sure that people want to be involved.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm an old JC myself, and
As am I.
Very good, very good. And so you know how important it is to have the social aspect of it as well as the hard work aspect of it, and then the management. So you are the immediate past president, you are the current president. Is this a family thing where you overthrew all the others and sort of Game of Thrones, you've taken control?
No,
No?
just happened to work out like that. I'm a fairly new member.
That must mean that the family loves what the Lions do and you're committed to
Right. Well, you know,
committed to the organization. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I've been a member for 3 years, and my father's been what?
15.
15. And you know, back in 2005, I went up to one of the meetings. They were having a new membership, just an informational night. In 2005, I may have been a little busier with, you know, home life and whatnot, and work-wise.
It typically happens to people.
It's just tough to commit. And then I saw over the years how much my father enjoyed, you know, getting involved. You know, we moved to town in 1967, 68. I've been here my whole life, so I knew eventually I wanted to get involved in some capacity with the town. And you know, it could have been, you know, this organization, that organization.
But
Lions
it
looked like
certainly
it was
makes
a good,
sense because, you know, and I'm sure that if you had friends combined, you worked on the projects, you sort of grew up in the Lions way.
Right. So I thought the Lions was a good fit for myself. My father's there. Many of the members now, I've known them my whole life. I've grown up with their kids and whatnot. So it's nice to, you know, see these gentlemen at a different capacity now, you know.
I think that's one of the joys of being a JC, another organization in town, is you now see some of the kids of your friends who are joining up. And so it's got to be a good feeling on your part.
It's a good feeling for me.
To see
especially
your
my
family
son
coming on.
Yes.
A little way to spend a little extra time these busy days, but also knowing that the work you've done probably resonated a bit and helped to form
you know,
your adult, you know,
right.
the way you feel about things. That's fantastic.
I mean, there's, you know, I'm trying to get some of, you know, my friends, younger group, in there also. It's just, you know, I'll go to the meetings like my father said. You know, there's guys that they've gone to, you know, they may be in their, you know, early mid 70s, but they went to high school with these guys, you know, and now they're still getting together on a social aspect, but they're also giving back to the town and the community. So it's twofold. It's nice.
So if we're here talking to people at home and we're saying, you should be a Lion because, and you call 508-543-4092, get in touch with Senior Mr. Amata, and he says, come on down on the first or third Tuesday of the month.
Right.
Be there before 7 o'clock, and we'll get you socialized and into the meeting. If I'm doing that, and I come up to you and say, why did you join? Why did you join?
Well, for me personally, Bob, it was, again, just to give back to the community. The town of Foxborough has been so, good to me in terms of raising my children here. My daughters both went to Foxborough High. One's a freshman now. So that's number one. I knew eventually.
And we'll touch on that because Foxborough, a huge piece of what makes Foxborough a great place to be, in many towns, not taking away from anybody else, but we do have a strong sense of volunteerism.
Right, you see it everywhere, right? So that was A for me. And then secondly, it's just to, get out for a night, leave work behind you, and just to see my father, on a different level.
He calls me Bob at the meetings. Rather
He
than
does.
Dad, yeah.
He's
That's
Bob.
very disrespectful.
And just again to socialize with some other members.
Now, I got to ask, and we'll leave Bob aside for now, but at the meetings, you have to call him into order. Does he ever get out of hand?
He has been fined once or twice.
He's been fined, has he? Well, good for you for standing up for yourself. That's right.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than weak leadership who's afraid to take on the old guy. Good for you. Oh, I'm sorry, you're
That's
still
right.
here.
No, actually,
Oh, okay.
actually, Bill was fined himself for calling me Bob.
As well he should have been.
It's either Lion Bob or Dad. He can't just call me Bob at the meeting.
So why did you join?
Oh, I don't know.
Back
I was
when
a
the Tin Lizzies
JC.
were running
Yeah.
around, and
I was a JC. I was a JC when you had to leave at a certain age.
that's right. You rooster out at age 40.
30. You could
39.
You could stay. Well, it was at that time it was 36.
Was it?
Yeah, you had to actually leave. It was a younger people's club.
Well, that was before
I-
we decided we liked the older folks.
That's
Now
right.
that I'm an older
Now-
folks, I'm glad they like me and
Yeah.
let me hang around.
Yeah. Are you still a member of the?
I am
Yeah.
indeed, yes. But I think this goes to, and you raised a great point. And, I do a lot of interrupting,
Yeah.
so here I go. I'm interrupting again. Sorry, everybody at home. But, people who don't get involved don't really, in my opinion, gain all there is to be gained out of living in a community, because you do get such a great sense of community spirit and well-being, and knowing you can walk down the street and say, I had a hand in this, or that project or that event, that touched me, or I touched it in a certain way. And those are good things that make the entire community better. Just as youth sports, just as here volunteering with Foxborough Cable Access, there's so many different ways for people to get off the couch, get involved. And I think it really goes towards the whole spirit of life, where you're involved, involvement in church, involvement with civic organizations, involvement with sports, involvement with any of these other myriad of ways to involve the food pantry. So many different things going on in town. And I think you really do yourself a disservice. This isn't a soapbox, everybody. Don't relax. You don't have to get up and do anything. But I think you do yourself a disservice if you don't, make the effort to become involved, to do something, whatever that little something is. Emergency preparedness. There's just so many different ways to get involved, and so many different pieces that make Foxborough a great community.
Yeah.
So not one person has to do it all, but everybody does a little bit something different.
Well, the Lions motto is very simple. We serve, and I think that's what we do. We do serve the community, as well as state activities as well. But I joined because I wanted to get involved. Joe Mordini, who's been a lifelong member, a builder in town, and he told me, asked me many times to join, and I finally did. It was the best thing I ever did.
Was it?
It absolutely was. I think Billy is really enjoying it. Some people come in and they don't like it. They leave after a couple of years, and
Which is
that's
gonna be with
understandable.
anything, sure,
But there's other people who just enjoy it. They enjoy the service end of it, the volunteerism, and the social aspect. Not only are we alliance, but we are also very good friends. I've made a lot of good friends in town, and I'm very happy with it.
That's a great point, because
Yeah.
you do make some lifelong friends and some relationships that just, especially if you go through a significant project and you do some,
Yeah.
elbow grease work together, you sort of
Right.
create that bond, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of ex-JCs there too. So I knew people. That were there.
Well, they say if you want something done, ask a busy person. And if
That's
you're
right.
looking for a person to have a civic mind and be oriented towards service to others, then you would tend to find them in there.
Right,
So.
exactly.
And the JC's Alliance and any of the other organizations in town, there's a lot of competition these days from transientness. Many people don't live in the same community. The jobs take them from one place to another. There's not that necessarily a sense of belonging in a community. And so it's tougher, but at the same time, it's rewarding. It's
Yeah.
tougher to recruit, but at the same time, the people that do get involved, it's more rewarding because they instantly get that sense of belonging, that sense of community. So
Yeah.
I can't encourage people enough to get involved in any civic
Yeah,
organization.
there is, of
or
course,
any
there is
volunteer
competition. I mean, there's not only the Lions, but there's the JCs, and there's the Rotary, and the Knights of Columbus, and you can't belong to everything. So,
You can't belong to everything,
Right.
and there's also just in this day and age, there's longer commute times, there's more
Right.
pressures, and
Right.
so it's great that you're coming out here and taking the time to share with us about the Foxborough Lions Club and telling us how to get involved. So hopefully somebody watching at home will say, "Hey, that sounds like a cool idea." So up at the Lafayette House, which is on Route 1, across from Gillette Stadium, everybody knows or should know where it is, but they can easily look it up. And it's very casual. You come in and
very
you're
casual.
meet and greet,
Yeah.
meet, greet, and eat.
Right.
that's right. Have
Very,
a dinner
very peaceful.
meeting. We conduct most of the business in between courses of the meals, and it works out pretty well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we only have 1 minute left, and I'm going to go through this one more time. If you at home are interested in becoming a member of or just learning more about the Foxborough Lions Club, you should call them. Call Bob Mata, who is the past president, at 508-543-4092. With 1 minute left, we're going to give you the second to last word because, of course, younger Mr. Mata is the current president. He gets
And
president.
he's also known as the King.
He's the king, King
the
Lion.
King Lion.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll give the past king.
Okay,
Actually,
well-
what is the official title?
Is president. My
Immediate past president.
I'm the immediate past president, and I'm on the board of directors, which is sort of expected as the president. And my role is to help him, not only because he's my son, but anyone. Right.
And
that's the role.
Absolutely, because you're paying it
help him
forward
get
and
through
you're
it,
paying
right. First, I want to thank you for having us. It was a nice experience for me, and enjoyed it. But I don't know what else I can say about the Lions. They're such a good group of people. We do like to volunteer. We do like to help out, and that's what we do. Same as the JCs. So we have some events, and we try to do the best we can for the community. It is nice to give back, and that's how I look at it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, the pressure's on.
No pressure.
King Lion.
Yeah. Well, I just want to add also a couple other things that we, it's not just the first and third Tuesdays also that we meet. We also have other events. We have an annual cookout. We'll have a Christmas dinner where the spouses or guests. We also have an installation banquet, with, changing of the guard, if you will. So there's a lot more. And there's we'll also do other social events and gatherings and whatnot. So there's a lot more to it in terms of just meeting. We get together quite more often also.
But you can't do any of the fun stuff until you get yourself involved and come on down to the
Right.
Lafayette House on the first or third Tuesday of the month
Right.
before 7 o'clock.
Right?
Be there and have some fun.
Right.
And the motto is "We serve."
We serve.
Exactly.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob and Bill Mata coming down for the Foxborough Lions Club. If you'd like any additional information on this, feel free to call them at 508-543-4092 or check them out on our website, www.fcllions.com. fcatv.org. On behalf of all the volunteers at Cable Access, particularly Mr. Gook and Ms. Stores, who are behind the camera, Mr. Loomis, Mr. Nash behind the glass, Mr. Weber, our Executive Director, and Rob, who puts us all together. I'm Bob Hickey, your host. Thank you for taking a little time to spend with us on Foxborough Central. Have a good one, Foxborough.